Hey guys, welcome back. We're going to continue our build of the TIE Pilot or ATA helmet. Okay, if you remember in the last video, we got up to the stage where we built the main shell, put the two halves together with the cover strip. Now we're moving on to the next stage and we're going to add the face into this shell. Okay, let's go. So I'm going to prepare the face to add to the main helmet, and to do this I need to cut a little section out here. There are some little markers that are going to guide us, and I need to trim the eyes. You don't need to do this beforehand. I always do. I'd recommend that you do too. You don't need to do anything with the teeth. The teeth stay intact as they are. Okay, so that saves us a job. So I just need to trim the eyes out at this point, which I'm going to do now. Okay, a little note for you. I'm going to go all the way through and finish the trim using the Dremel. If for any reason you don't want to do that, you can just thin it down as I have done here, and it's going to be a lot thinner to get your knife in there, do it with a scalpel or a Stanley knife. There's going to be less plastic because we took the bulk of it away, and you can just whittle away at it if that's what you prefer. But I'm just going to go with this because that's the way I usually do it. If you look in there, you might not pick up on the camera too well, but if you look in there, you can see where you're trimming to. And there's a little bit more that's taken out of this than, let's say, the stunt helmet. You can see it in there, and that's to allow the bubble eyes to push further up. There's much more of a definite curve, whereas the stunt helmet is a bit flatter. There's more flashing that remains. Okay, but we're going to take that away. And you can do this in two stages. You can take the bulk of this out and then tidy it up, whichever way you're more comfortable with. I'll turn my Dremel on. You see where I broke through with a white. Okay, once you've got the bulk of that material out of there, if you can see that, I've got some rough edges. I'm going to go at it with sandpaper. Now, a tip for you, if you're concerned, you can put some masking tape around the outside. I'm not overly concerned, and it's going to be an ETA helmet, so it's going to get painted anyway. So I'm just going to go for it. What I'm trying not to do here is to touch these edges while I'm sanding this edge, and that's all it is. That's what you want to protect if you're not overly confident. That's your area to watch. This is the one where it's easy to touch part you don't want to touch. Okay, so that's what we're going for. Okay, we can tidy that up a little bit more. A little bit later on, we're going to be putting the bubble eyes in to check it. You can be doing that at this stage if you really want, obviously when you've got both of the eyes out. But that's it. It's pretty simple. You can go at this with a knife. All depends what you're more confident with. I don't particularly like using a knife. A lot of the guys here do use the knife. I'd much rather go at it a little bit more cautiously and sand away with my sandpaper for that final finish. Down that overhead, yeah. So once you've got both your eyes trimmed out, it's going to look something like this. Yeah, as you can see, there's not a great deal of return left on there. There's just enough. Your bubble eyes are going to help as you're putting them in there. You're going to get a feel for it. Okay, but I would recommend take off a little at a time. Right, once we've got the eyes done, I'm going to quickly remove this piece here. Okay, as I've said before many times, nothing's really symmetrical on this helmet, so I would recommend just going by your eyes and having it the way you want it to look. This needs to be, this cutout we're going to make is approximately 30 millimeters from the top of the eyes here. Okay, so I'm going to join them up. So that's what I'm going to remove, this section here. Again, if you watched any of the other tutorials, I'm not going right down to the corner because the shears have a tendency to put a split in it, and I don't want that. But I am going to try and remove as much as I can. Right, I'm happy with that. So I've just removed this section here, and we're going to put a piece behind that, and there's going to be some groovers that cover this up. Why they did this, not 100% sure. It's not required. I don't know if they were thinking of something different happening before the trident happened, or if they thought they needed it removed for the trident to fit. Don't know. It's an interesting part of the design. Let us know what you think in the comments below. But it is what it is. This is how they were made, so this is how we make them. Right, now we need to offer this up to this. Sand that a little bit more actually. Right, again, nothing is symmetrical on this helmet. So all you can do is, if you run, I'm running the pencil up right in the center of the teeth, and it doesn't look too bad on the camera actually. But believe you me, the teeth are not symmetrical. So what I tend to do is put it up there in the center between the eyes, and I'm going to use that as my center point. Like so. And then I'm going to do something very similar on here. I'm going to measure this because we know what the center point should be, which is 42.5 millimeters. But I mean, it is what it is. Okay, you will notice if you look closely that there are what looks like drill holes, kind of 2 indents there. So I'm going to go into those. If this is not the best thing to see on camera, it's also not the best thing when you've got it in hand. You have got to move it round, get it in the light. Right, I sanded this last time I think, but it still feels a little bit rough, so. Just tidy that up. Nicer. Okay, this is kind of one of the main components of the build that you don't want to mess up. So we're going to introduce these two together, and I'm going to run this line and this line straight through, and then I'm going to obviously follow my two little arrows. I'm just going to eyeball it, there's no measuring going on. Okay, that looks about right. Now it's difficult to see, but there is a pencil mark there. Let's get my old 4BAs. In fact, getting excited, jumping ahead of myself. I'm going to prepare this. This is an extra little piece of plastic, comes in the kit. I think it's about 6 inches, a little bit more, 6.5 inches by 2.5 inches. And this is going to sit behind that cutout that we made. And I'm gonna put it about 5 mil above the eyes. So this is the bottom of the insert, and this is the top of the eyes here. And there's a gap of about 5 mil, maybe more, maybe 8 mil. And we're going to use that later on. You don't want to do it too close because the bubble eyes are going to go in there. And I'm going to use this to trap the bubble eyes, and that's going to be one of the things that's going to hold those in place. Okay, so I'll just get that where I want it. Yep, happy with that. So it's approximately central, and as I say, it's about 5 to 8 mil above the eyes. Make a mark. And we've got our drill hole. So now let's put the screw through all of these pieces. Through the outer helmet, through the faceplate, and through the insert at the back there. And I'll put the washer and the nut. These are brass 4BAs, just like the original helmet. And if you've got a Stormtrooper helmet, these are the screws that basically hold the bottom of the ears on the Stormtrooper helmet. Same length, I think they're 5/8 of an inch, something like that. Right, okay. So now the face is half secured, but we've got one point. It's being held in one point, which is good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to basically eyeball it to get the face where I want it. Okay, so some of the things I'm looking at is this edge here being square to here, and the bottom-ish square-ish. Right, so one of the things to consider on this, you can manipulate this around, you can stretch it, and you can do all kinds of stuff. So just get it how you want it. Okay, I'm quite happy with that there. Mark the hole. Okay, that's going to be my drill hole. So I drill the hole. And I'm going to pivot this round. Again, make sure it's about 8mm, 5 to 8mm from this edge. I'm just looking at my thumb, it looked really weird, like it was a little face or something. I think it's just the distance I'm looking at it from. Okay, so I'm going to mark through that onto the insert piece where I want the hole drilling. While I'm doing that, I don't know if you can see, I'm holding it at the back in the right place with the height there, but I'm also holding it so that it's flush with the face. Can you see that? So you don't want it baggy, you don't want a gap here. I'm pushing it up so that it's flush. Right, let's move that out of the way, and we're still fixed. I've just rotated it round, and there I can see my hole that I marked. So I'm going to drill that. Nice. Right, and then we just repeat that same procedure. Screw from the outside, through the helmet, through the face, and through that panel on the inside. Washer and nut on there. And you will see, if you've done this right, you will notice that you've got some curvature to the panel on the inside. I don't know if I can get that in the light. Focus. There. So on that panel there, you can see the distance from the eyes, about 5 to 8mm, just enough to get the bubble and lenses to sit up behind it. And it just traps it in place, and we've got that curvature. So it's following, as best it can, the contour of the faceplate. Let's go from above. We've not got, here, I've not got a big gaping gap. Can you see that? That shows it, doesn't it? Yeah, so it's almost replaced that piece that we cut out. So why did we cut it out? That's the question. Could have been left in there. I don't know if there was a different part of the design that changed. Don't know. But that's back in there. But it does act as something for us to sandwich the bubble eyes in later on. We'll get to that. Right, okay. So next, we've got a little bit of movement here. Just want to bring this into position, just like so. In fact, I'll just drill a hole first of all. Again, there's a little indicator of where to drill, and then I can bring it into position. Now I'm using my fingers, these fingers, on the inside of the face just to push the two pieces together. So they're now sat right next to each other, closed up, because when the screw's in there, that's what they're going to do. Okay, I'm right on the edge of the faceplate. And again, one of these small screws, 4BAs, through the outer shell, through the face. So you can probably see the screw in there. It's just through the two pieces. Now at this point I am going to add my chin strap, which has not got a hole in it yet. Okay, you shouldn't need to do this, but if you do, for whatever reason, I just punched a hole in there. I've just used a brad awl to open it up. Right, so my chin strap goes in and it's going over the screw there. And again, washer and nut. I'm just holding the nut in place with my fingers while I screw that in. Okay, this side I've not cut quite enough off the helmet. There's still some flashing left there, so let me just trim that away.
Can you just talk about why you're not using any coral?
We did mention that in previous videos. I do have a piece of foam here, which I would use if it was a helmet that I was bothered about, but as it's going to get painted, I'm not too bothered, and they're pretty hardy, although the black does show marks quite easily. Right, again, I'm going to drill that hole first. You can see the little kind of indent of where the hole was when the molds were made. So I've got a hole there, mark there, drill a hole. Now at this point I'm gonna put my screw in to anchor it, and I'm just gonna have a look and see what I think. So this is what I'm looking at. So I'm just seeing how square everything looks. You can distort these helmets. It's possible to twist and clamp it in the wrong place. But I'm very happy with that. That's come out exactly the way I thought it would. So I will continue with the screws. So again, the opposite side of the chin strap goes in. Unlike the TK ones, we don't have a snap. It's just a piece of elastic stretched across the helmet and anchored at these 2 points. And that is that. You probably could put this in later. I find it easier to do it at this stage because the screws are less accessible once the ears are in position. There we go. Nice chin strap. Okay, pretty taut, so with it, it's got some resistance when it's under your chins. Right, so that is the face now installed into the helmet. Yeah, relatively happy with that. So it's so asymmetrical. It's quite unbelievable. When it's all together, it's so much easier on the eye. Right, so I've got some lines drawn on these, and I'm going to trim them down to the line, clean the edge, and install the ears. There's no particular order to this. You can do the ears first, trident first. It's really your own call. So I'll just remove a little more of this with the shears so that I don't have to Dremel for as long. Right. Allow me to just trim these up into some sort of finished state. So on the bottom of the ears here, there is quite a rough area, so you're going to see where you need to cut to. There's no pencil line, you don't need it. Okay, oh, there's a bit there that I missed, look. Right, quick trim. Now, I don't know if you can see that. Put it on there, can you see? It's not super smooth, it's quite angular on the trim, especially there. I don't know if you can see that. But that's fine because we're going to kind of put the finish to it with sandpaper. I'm just going to deburr it. You can sand it. If you don't have that tool, not a problem. Right, okay. Yeah, I'm fairly happy with that. I think if you look at the original ones, the edges are very rough. It looks like they've been cut out with a bandsaw. That's the suspicion. So super rough. If you're going to try and make a forgery, you might want to do it that way. But we kind of get a relatively clean edge so that people are not shocked and horrified when they see it. But the original builds were quite rough, I'll be honest. Okay, 4mm hole drilled in there. We'll go to the side of the helmet. And you can see we have a little indent in the helmet there. Remove that. Sharp drill. There. Finished helmet, not good. Let me see if I can pick it out in it. There she is. Yeah, you see that? There is a small indent there, and there's another one on the other side where you would expect to find one. So stick that hole in there. Right, I'm going to secure it with a screw. Technically, this is how they were done for A&H TIE pilots. If you are building the kit of the TIE helmet, we do supply it with the ear greeblies and a screw that you can put from the inside out and hold the whole ear on with the ear greebly. It's the same, exact same thing. The ear greebly works as the nut, and the screw comes from the other side, holds the ear in place. Everything's fine. The reason we do that is because although they were built like this, the greebly was stuck on top of it. They tend to fall off and get lost. You don't want to do that if you're wearing your TIE pilot as a costume, because it's just going to be gone. Okay, but I will show you how that works, if I remember in a moment. Right, so the ear is on. We've still got some trimming to do around the bottom edge of the helmet, but we shall get to that. Right, okay. So we've got a nice join on there. I'm very happy. I'm going to leave that. We are going to put some glue on this, but I'm not going to do it just yet, because I'm going to get the other ear prepared. So when we're usually sanding, we're usually up and down. But on these, I'm kind of going in a longer motion, following the ear. ABS sand's really easy. And you are going to get rid of all the imperfections that you want. If you don't use a deburring tool, just want to go at the opposite angle, because where you're sanding, you're going to build up on that inside. Just give it a sand off there. Easy. Easy peasy. It's a very satisfying build, the TIE helmet. It's not... I don't think it's super difficult. I think it's technically it's probably easier than a Stormtrooper, because your Stormtrooper ears, you've really got to work at them to get the finish that you're looking for. Whereas these, quite considerably more forgiving. It's not even a screwdriver, it's a bradawl. Okay, so we are attached, we're not glued yet. There are some elements we're going to trim down here. Right, okay, so the ears are loosely in place and they're following the contour of the helmet, as they should, by and large. And they're pretty even. At this point, if you want to, if you need to, these ears will move around. So if you want to try and marry them up, you know, you can meet them. I like to have them, get it in position around there so that these are fairly level there with the chin strap inside. You've got a little bit of symmetry going on. It's kind of a bit of a joke to say symmetry when you're building this helmet, because there is no symmetry, but you can try, you can make it look pretty. Right, so I'm happy with this. This is touching the cheek area exactly as I want it to. It kind of looks a bit further back. You think it should go like that, but it does end up being kind of a little bit further back on this side. Again, check your reference pictures, see what you want to do. I am marking that with a pencil line, and I'm going to use a little super glue if I can find one of these. I've not been on this bench for a few days, so we should be good. So I'll get some activator on the inside of the ear. Let me position that so you can see it. Good, I'm not doing this very well. Where is it? There it is. Right, so on the inside there is where I want my activator sprayed. Okay, and I'm going to just run a little bead of glue just up that. There we go, we'll come out just behind the pencil line, because as I bring this over to it, I'm going to kind of drag it through the glue, and I'm just going to let it sit there. And I'll let the activator do all the work. Lovely. Right, so let's check that again. Yeah, happy with that. Looks as I would, looks where it should be from experience. So I'm just going to repeat that same exercise. Bit of activator in there, little bit of glue just behind the line. Bring that over and just drag it. Just hold that in position. Yeah, I'm liking that. Oh, we didn't trim this bit off yet. So you can kind of see, you can see the outline where it wants to go. And I'm going to want this. I'm going to want to follow this line. Right on the overhead, you might see it better. Maybe not. So I'm going to trim this out here, and I'm going to follow this line down the ear, down there. Shall I show you? I'll cut it out. So I want to come down here, up there. Something like that. Right, okay. So we're starting to get somewhere now. Let's see what we've got. We've got the ears on, we've got the face in, we've got the bulk of the shell built. So we need to go around the bottom and trim that out, and we need to apply our good friend the trident. I'm going to move that so you can see the helmet better. But if you don't want to scratch yours up, use a piece of foam. You probably won't be doing it when you're getting videoed, so that will make life a little bit easier for you. Right, trident. Let's give this a trim out, and then we can look how it's going to sit on the helmet. So you'll notice I'm using the shears on this. Just cutting those out. Very thin there. When the plastic is vac forming, you're stretching a piece of plastic all the way down the inside of there, and it's caught between all these points. So by the time it gets down there, it goes thin. That's intentional, that's the way they are. But it's, compared to the top, it's much more reminiscent of, I believe the term is a chocolate box. The vac forming industry. That's when your forming goes super thin. On a chocolate box, I think it's intentional because it's thin plastic, keep costs down. Right, so there are some outlines on here that we can go to. I don't know if you can pick them up too well. Yeah, you can see it, can't you? They're scribed into the tool just to give you a bit of a helping hand. So this here, we want to go to a depth of about 1/2 inch. But by the time you've got that off, you can see where the flat needs to be there. So I'm going to go in there and round and down there. Something like that. This is the rough part, we've still got to trim this out. But we can rough it first. Okay, so we want to go from these points down to this point, right down to there, and then I just want to go around all these edges, just square it up and make it look pretty. Okay, now to do this, you're going to need a bigger ruler. And you can mark it and get a nice straight line, or I usually put it on the belt sander to do this, but for you good people today I will do it this way.
Can you do that more for the overhead?
I can't, I need to have it off the edge of the bench. I'll bring it over. I can't put this under the camera because to do this I need to have these, to mark it out I need to have these off the edge of the bench to get this to lay flat. But all I've done is from this point here where this comes up, where it meets the top, I took it back to there. Same on both sides. Okay, so now I've got these lines marked. You're probably not going to see them because very difficult to see even when it's in hand. But I've basically marked a straight line from there to there. And that is the material that I'm now going to remove. So I can get in there with my shears to get this side off. Not so easy the other side, because I'm right-handed and the shears get in the way. So I will just use the Dremel. Let's have a tidy up. Yeah, a good chef washes up as he goes. Some waste coming off this, isn't there? Quite a mess that we make with this one. Right, this will be the last of the mess. So I'm just going to Dremel this up, or you could sand it or cut it with a knife, however you want to do it, but we need to get this into a finished state. So I'm going to go from this to finished. Can you see that line? I can see it real good. Right, so this line here, let me get this out of my hand. This line here, the side here, this is pretty self-explanatory, and this obviously, we're just going from point A to point B. So they're easy to understand. On the bottom here, there are some little marks that are present in the forming that you can follow, and with this you want it about 1/2 inch, 12 mil-ish, and just square it up by eye. Yeah, I wouldn't just work by eye, I wouldn't bother trying to measure anything. So I'm just going to clean round the front of this now, which is these two bottom edges, the three fronts, and then the internals of these angles. I usually start on the front as well, the very front. When I got the overhead, will you see it better there? Right, so once I've got these front tips here, once I've got these to the desired length, which is pretty much marked on the tool, once I've got that, there, these three, I can now square all this up. So make that point there nice and sharp. The same here and in the inside. So we've got 6 faces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm just going to get those nice and square to the fronts, and then if the back needs anything, you'll get something. Right, that's the bulk of the sanding done, probably done with the Dremel. Just going to go away with sandpaper now and just clean up the edges. So here, you can sand at this edge, this way, and sand right into that corner, then flip it round and sand at that angle. I know it's difficult to see, but you can get a nice angle in there. So come it this way into that corner, and then this way. And again, moving along the edge, and it will smooth out surprisingly quickly. If you're going to go at this in this kind of angle, you may want to protect the top. I've ran off and scratched it a little bit, but I don't care because it's not a tire helmet. The inside of there, this inside angle, because it's thin, really easy to sand. So. I don't think I got that with the Dremel. It's not quite where I want it to be. So this bottom edge here is quite, as you can see, it's quite flat. It's going on the table nice. There, there's no reason why you couldn't sand this in that motion on your sandpaper. And similar to how you've got point A and B here, you have those that run round the inside there. So once you've got your front set, you can see where everything's going to be. Just take some of that nonsense off. Right, okay. Let's tidy up again. You can see what's going on. Slightly better, perhaps. Right, so trident. We're going to put the trident in place. As you know, goes like that. You've seen an ATAT helmet before. Oh, let it slip then, didn't I? Bit rough on that edge. Let me just get that burr off. That's better. It's a great tool, this. If you are going to build a few things, a deburr is so nice on plastic. Right. So we know how this sits. Goes on the top here, finishes the helmet off, makes it look very attractive, and hides all of this mess that's going on right here. So let's get it attached. We're firing through this now, aren't we? So I've got a little masking tape. I'm going to put it in position. It's going to be difficult to...
Hold it. Camera through. Bring it the camera through.
No, I don't think you're getting it. You need it on that one over there. I'm going to do this so you guys can see it, and then I'll probably do it again so I can actually see it. But what I want is this to be square with the rest of the face. Okay, so in here I want these to all be nice and square, and I want it to kind of sit square on this cover strip. So if I pull it right back onto the cover strip, see what that looks like. That's not far off actually. Right, so I've got my tape in place. Okay, now I'm not overly keen, it needs to move a little bit. I think it was better before. Okay, so we're going to pull that down into that kind of shape. These sides are going to go onto the sides of the helmet. Okay, it's not going to touch here. There are going to be gaps, and I don't want it too far down the face. You can move this up and down so you've got more or less gap here. I think I want to bring that back a little bit. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Let's just have a look. Get the tape holding it down. Forgive me a minute while I take a look. Yeah, quite happy with that. Yeah, we're going to bring it down into that kind of position. Right, okay, so that leaves us with the tail. Where's that going to fit? That's not too bad. I'm quite happy with that. It's not if I measured this, I doubt that that is going to be absolutely central, but it's not too far off. And the original ones are not actually that central. Let me see if I can get a measure on this. This is a bad. So we know the measure is about 42.5. Oh, I've made it look easy, but it's gone on nice. That's all to do with the front of it being square, and when we built the rest of it, getting it eyeballed in, looking good. But that actually has ended up sitting very nice. But I'll give you a tip in case it doesn't. This bit, if you've made this and you've cut this and you put it on there and you get this so it looks a bit central, and this bit doesn't look right on the front, ignore this. You want to get your front looking right, okay? Get it in position, tape it down like so, okay? And if this is running out, say this was over here more, then alter this, cut this a little bit more. This might end up being a midge shorter. It's going to look better. It's going to save the helmet. That's the best way of doing it, and that's what I'd recommend. Right, okay, I'm good. I'm happy with that. I actually went on without me having to show you that, which I kind of was expecting that I would be able to show you. Right, so I'm going to take the back into position. Yep, happy with that. I'm going to remove this. Right, I'm going to pull this down here. I'm going to go on the overhead there. So I'm going to pull this down into that position. That's how it's going to sit. You can see this doesn't touch here. Doesn't touch the face. You can see that gap there. Can kind of half get a finger in just here. That's fine. Check out the original helmets. You're going to see that. So you could cut a little bit more of this off if you really wanted to. On that back corner, it's going to bring it down just a touch more. I'm not going to. That is more than acceptable. So I've got a pencil line on there. This side, if I can hold the helmet. This side tends to sit a little bit tighter. Just double check that. Yeah. Yeah. Right, okay, so I'm going to fix it. I'm going to use the super glue. So we'll get in there with my activator, and I'm spraying it on this area on the inside, obviously. Small amount of super glue on here, again, just behind that line. And that side. I don't tend to go too far down. I'll put a little bit on the top, just where that trident's going.
Is there something else I can help with?
AI's going crazy. Right.
How to respond to that?
So I'm just going to hold that in place for a couple of seconds. Yeah, it's taking. Lovely. Right, so now I just need to, I thought it would make a better noise. Right, so now we need to fix that down. And you can see what we're looking like. So this may surprise you. It's got a little bit of an overhang there. Let's get rid of that. Totally unnecessary and just being a bit of a perfectionist. Right, I'm looking for a little bit of scrap ABS. Usually it'd be all over the bench because I wouldn't tidy up as I go. But so it look nice and pretty for you guys, I've swept it all away. Let me just get another piece. While you're building, just keep a little piece of plastic. Right, so I've got a little bit of ABS, totally flat, so that I can put some super glue on there. I can rub it on the inside, yeah, of the trident, and then we can hold it in place. Yeah. So let's do that. Okay, first of all, just put a little bit of activator on there, let it start evaporating. Right, put some glue on here. You don't want a lot of glue on this bit. Yeah, so I'm going to start further down here. I'm going to kind of drag it up there, smear it all around. And I'm just going to run my fingers down the edges there, just so that there's no excess. Okay, and then just working from the front, roll it down. If you stick your finger to it, we've all been there. Right, I've got some excess of the old activator. We've got the marks here where I sanded it. Not a problem, because this is not going to be a tie helmet, but at least you're aware of that situation. Okay, so that is about as symmetrical as this helmet's going to get. It should look good. Right, I tell you what, let's give it a quick trim on the bottom. There's not a great deal to see here. You can see the marks all around the front, and you just want to follow that through around the bottom here, and you can see them around the back. This is going to come off around there. I'll take that off, and then in a nutshell, we have it. Right. So, there is our helmet built. Now what we need to do is dress this with the greeblies, put the rubber trims on and the eyes, stickers, think about if we want to do a paint job or if we want to go with a background basic helmet. But that will wait until next video. Thanks for watching, guys. Do come back for the next part where we are going to finish this helmet completely. And that is built and assembled helmet. That's the bit I like. See you next time.